and welcome to A Lonely Critic. My name is Anthony Renteria, and today I just got done watching Top Gun Maverick in IMAX. The one and only Tommy Boy Cruise. He's back, he's here, he's in cinemas. As always, I will not do any spoilers for the movie in this review. This is a non-spoiler review, so fear not. Top Gun Maverick is directed by Joseph Kosinski. So what is Top Gun Maverick about? It is a sequel to the original Top Gun. It's Tom Cruise, however many years later from the original story, and he is still the same rebel spirit pilot that he's always been, and he's been tasked to train these new pilots in an impossible mission. So it's essentially Mission Impossible but with jets. But honestly a little more cleaner. Like it's more focused, it's more simple of a narrative. It's a movie with a very simple story, and I think that it uses that to its benefit because it is very clean, it is very to the point, it's very direct, and it actually does a lot to tie in with the original film and to like tie up any loose ends and to move those emotional narratives forward. Even me not having seen the original, I could feel conclusions and wrap-ups. So what are my immediate reactions and thoughts to Top Gun Maverick? I think it was a fantastic, great time. Honestly, one of the funnest times I've had in a theater in a long time. I mean, it just hits all the spots. I live in Alabama, and I watched this film with an Alabama crowd, and this is the first non-MCU movie I've ever seen in Alabama on a premiere day where people started clapping. Like, people were just clapping in my screening at the end of this movie. I could feel it in the room. It was like a nearly packed screening. So yeah, this film is just like an instant feel-good hit. Like, I just feel like it is like one of the quintessential, definitive, feel-good summer dad movies of all time. Like, it kind of reminded me of Ford versus Ferrari, that hit that vibe of like American like bravado and machismo, and it has like all these like things that maybe some people would find negative or not fun to watch, but there are like appealing things about it, and it tackles it in a way that doesn't feel like toxic or mean-spirited. It feels very honest, and like it's like it loves those things. So it's coming from a very intense perspective of passion. I mean, which makes a lot of sense because Tom Cruise is a very passionate individual when it comes to what he does in his films and his career. And this film was like another staple to his filmography that's been growing a lot lately, with his obsession with like crazy antics and practical stunts and immersiveness in his films. And I think this film takes that and it runs with it, and it does a really great job, and it's a great film besides all of that, but it's a greater film because all of that, if that makes any sense. So for example, in this film, all the aircraft sequences and shots feel so immersive. It feels like because you are in the pilot seat with Cruise as he's doing these maneuvers. You're in there with all the other performers. From what I understand, they were like kind of more in the back seat with a real pilot piloting, and you feel it in the film. Like, it feels unlike any other action movie in that way, and it's very like, it's insane because like I remember I watched the trailer for like The Gray Man that's coming out on Netflix, and like the Fast and the Furious kind of movies, where it feels like a lot of the blockbuster action movies that we're getting is like these huge, unbelievable sequences just filled with ridiculous, idiotic CGI. You know, like a person running on a train that's crashing into a building, and then the train splitting in half, and then this person jumps off the train, lands on a car, the car explodes, but he jumps off that car into a bus, and that bus hits a pillar and smashes in half, but he's holding on to a windshield wiper. The windshield wiper breaks off, but it's allowing him to float to a nearby building. He grabs onto the building collapses within itself, a sinkhole opens up, a jet flies in there, a nuclear bomb is detonated, the moon is crashing against the earth, a portal opens up to a multiverse. Kind of like that's kind of like the action that is expected and like done non-stop. And in this film, the action is so minimal because it's all realistic. So like what I was thinking about like while watching it is like how, like when you have a movie with such huge scale and spectacle that's just using CGI, it becomes almost worthless and meaningless from the jump. Just like immediately everything is unreal and there is no tension or excitement. And in this film, because there's like this weird subconscious layer of all these people are actually doing these things, and there is a limit to reality, right? There's like, this plane cannot pass 10 G's of resistance, because it will literally just break in half. You know, the plane itself will snap. It will bend. It will start to malfunction in some form. And they really lay out all these terms and possible dangers in a very positive way in the film, to where you were aware of the stakes and the realities, and then since all the action is reality, you kind of feel the stakes even more, like on a subconscious level. Like I was watching these jets do these maneuvers that they're saying are very difficult. I don't know, because I don't know anything about jets, but they're saying it in the movie. And then I see the jet, and I see these people, and I see their faces literally feel the G's, you know, applying pressure to them. And I see the plane bending and warping and heating and cooling. It all feels very intense and like satisfying in a very cool way. And I love how this film like uses all those, like it almost like teaches you enough about aircraft and about this mission and assignment and the dangers of it in such a great way, to where it creates anticipation, enjoyment, and drama and tension. That's what I'm trying to get to, the tension. Like, there's not huge moments. If you were to compare the moments in this film to like the CGI stuff that I was talking about earlier, the moments are so minimal and simple compared to that, but the tension is on a whole nother scale. Like, I felt more tense in this movie than any Fast and the Furious film ever made, combined, multiplied by 5,000. You know, like, it's not even on the same playing field. And I remember in Ford versus Ferrari, I felt the same thing with how they talked about cars. I think that's a good comparison. This film is a way better film than Ford versus Ferrari. What they do here in this film is really magnificent. Like, outside of all of it, it's still a very, very well made film, and I think that's what I really love. But enough about that. Let's talk about baby boy Tom Cruise, the one and only, the action hero, the savior of cinema. How does he do? I think he does a great job in this movie, actually. I think it's one of his better performances, which I wasn't really anticipating how performative he was gonna get in the film. He has some like heartfelt moments where I can see he's actually like trying to push himself formative wise, and I think he does a great job. It's obviously all masked in that, like, you know, macho kind of, you know, military kind of sensibilities, so, you know, you're not going to get any huge explosions of emotions with these men and women, but, you know, it does reach some places that I wasn't anticipating emotionally and performance wise, and he does a great job. Like, he handles the film, he carries it on his back. You believe that he's this reckless, insane person, which is, I mean, I don't think that's really a performance, because I think just Tom Cruise in reality is probably just like Maverick. Let's do something crazy. I'll just jump out of a plane. I'll just hang on to the plane. I'll hang on to the building. We'll go to space. I'll hang on to space. And I hang on to the moon while it's spinning around the earth. But yeah, so like Tom Cruise does a great job, and like he really anchors the film for me, and I think I love seeing him on screen. I mean, I know a lot of people hate Tom Cruise, but I think Tom Cruise has a certain charisma that is cheesy and it is cringy because it's Tom Cruise, but then it's also enjoyable, and I like seeing the man do what he does. I think he does what he does better than anyone else who's done it, at least in the American side. I mean, he is carrying that torch of stunts, personal stunt work, and all that kind of stuff to another level. The other person that I want to bring up that I knew was in the film but didn't know it to what extent or level was Miles Teller. I think he did a great job as well. Great performance from him. He's an actor that I really enjoy. Whiplash is his like all-time great, but he does a great job here, and he feels like he feels exactly like the military dudes that I, you know, spent a lot of time with. The technical stuff, obviously the cinematography, well, the aircraft, all the stunt work and special effects and practical effects are insane, out of this world, 10 out of 10, masterful, masterpiece level. Everyone should be in awe and in complete respect to what the women and men who worked on this film and on these aircrafts and on the stunts and all that they did to like capture the footage that was displayed here should all get mad props and win a bunch of awards. And I hope this movie does well for y'all, because it is a testament to the craft of filmmaking to do these insane things, and that's something that a lot of filmmakers do not care about and a lot of audience members do not care about. Like I mentioned, a lot of people would prefer 5,000 people working on a CGI model. The cinematography I thought was actually way better than I was expecting. I don't know why I wasn't expecting more, because the director has done some amazing work. The director of photography, Claudio Miranda, fantastic job. Yeah, so like Oblivion. Okay, so he's done all his movies so far. Only the Brave is one of the films I want to see. But yeah, and he also did The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, so that's very interesting. I love Benjamin Button. I was talking about that movie not too long ago. But yeah, there was some like interesting compositions and lighting, and like the orange California light just basking all over the characters, and scenery was beautiful. And then there's some nice compositions and shots within office spaces. I think that's a very difficult thing, like knowing what military buildings look like. I would have a headache like just imagining shooting a scene in a military building. It is the plainness of all plainness, but they found a way to very smartly use windows and lighting and shades and different tools of the trade to make a shot look interesting. Every shot looks interesting, which is nice. And then there's also some like beautiful silhouettes, like silhouettes against water, against the desert, against planes, against airstrips. There's some nice, beautiful cinematography is what I'm trying to say, outside of all the awesome, crazy aircraft stuff. Like it is an actual visual treat. Anyways, so the visuals are great. I wanted to point out the sound design. The sound design is amazing. All the jet sounds, perfect. All the other sound effects that have to do with the flying and the Machs and this going in and out, all the beepings and boopings of the aircrafts to raise tension and conflict were amazing. But one particular scene towards the end, which I won't spoil, but there is a barrage of missiles and gunfire and screaming and beeps and boops and engines going. There was a lot of chaos, and I loved how they did the sound mixing in that sequence specifically because it felt chaotic, but it felt very clean. Like I could tell it was very pinpoint, accurate to what we were supposed to hear at what times, and it gave this huge sense of scale of, oh, everyone's fucked, which is a beautiful thing to feel in an IMAX theater with the sound and the visuals, inviting this feeling of all is lost. I think this movie has many all is lost moments, and every time I was like, oh fuck, they're actually fucked, but of course they're not. This movie is a summer movie, you know, it's not gonna go into like dark, deranged insanity, but while you're watching the film, it does feel like, oh, they might push this a little further, and I think that's all a testament to the craftspeople, the sounds, the cinematography. The editing is fantastic during those sequences. Brilliant work by the editor. You know, these kind of like feel-good summer dad movie, blockbuster, whatever crap, they get a lot of hate because they seem obvious and they seem cheesy and it seems like the easy thing to do, but like I was talking crap about all those CGI blockbuster movies, they're doing all the same beats that this film does, but this film just does it with an actual passion and care to those beats. So I think there is a talent, there is a technique, and then there is a skill required to make cheese taste good, I guess is what I'm saying. And cheese is cheese for a reason, because it does taste good when it works, and in this film it works, in my opinion. I think they did a great job. It feels good. The whole movie is a fun thrill ride. I don't know if anyone will ever rate it like a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, but it is a great film. And then one last thing I want to bring up is the score. The score by Hans Zimmer is amazing. I loved it. Pushed me right through the movie. Loved all the highs and lows of it. He is a master of blockbuster filmmaking, and yes. Okay, so final thing is my current review. I want to give it a 9 out of 10 because it was that great of a feel-good movie. I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10 right now, just because I'm anticipating some things to fall apart or break. But it is a bulletproof script, brilliant execution, brilliant setup, brilliant characters, and I mean, like, it's all simple, it's all obvious, and it's all feel-good summer movie blockbuster hit, but it does it with such tact and precision that I can't help but be in awe of it. Probably one of the best sequels. I haven't seen the original, but from what I hear, the original is like a 6-7 out of 10, and then it just has a lot of favorites because there's some very cheesy moments. So I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10 for now. I think it is a great film. I can see it going up to a 9 out of 10 on a rewatch. Worth your time if you're a fan of aviation or jets, the military, bravado, Tom Cruise, practical stunts, great editing, great sound design, great scores, great cinematography, and if you're a dad. But anyways, thank y'all so much for listening. Check out all my things below. I have a film podcast called Cineverm. Please check that out. It's something I'm very passionate and excited about. I have my 2 friends on there, David and Helen. Yeah, check that out. It's on all podcast services. You can check out my other videos. If you like this review, please give me a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it. If you don't, that's cool too. Leave your thoughts on what you thought about my takes on the movie or your takes on the movie, and we can discuss planes and jets and all kinds of cool stuff that this movie covers, because it would be fun to talk about. And the long wait for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 begins. But anyways, I gotta go. Alright, I gotta go. Alright, so thank y'all so much. Have a good day. See y'all next week.